The Uganda Martyrs, 3rd June, 1886. There was a time when the hills of the Kingdom of Buganda rolled like green waves beneath a golden sun. The air smelled of bark cloth and wood smoke. Drums carried messages farther than the eye could see. At the heart of that kingdom ruled a young king, Kabaka Mwanga II. He inherited a throne heavy with tradition, guarded by chiefs, sustained by ritual, feared by subjects. In Buganda, the Kabaka was not simply a ruler, he was the center. And then new words entered the kingdom, words about another king. Inside the royal enclosure lived boys who served the Kabaka. They were called pages. They fetched water, carried messages, slept near the king's chambers. Some of them had begun to learn to read. Some of them had begun to pray. Among them was Charles Luanga, calm, thoughtful, a quiet leader. Near him stood young Kizito, barely 14, still with the softness of youth in his face. And among them too were Anglican converts like Mukasa Kiriwawanvu and Aaron Lubega. Different teachings, same conviction. They knelt at night in whispered prayer. They called God Father, and that word would cost them everything. Before the Great Burning, there was a warning. Joseph Mukasa Balikudembe had dared to advise the king after the execution of Anglican Bishop James Hannington. He spoke carefully. Kabaka, killing a bishop will bring trouble to Buganda. Mwanga's pride stiffened. You correct me? I speak for peace. Peace can sound like rebellion to a threatened king. Mukasa Balikudembe was condemned. Before his execution, he was allowed to see his family. Family farewell, Mukasa Balikudembe. His wife knelt before him, hands trembling. Why must you speak so boldly? She whispered through tears. Why not remain silent and live? He touched her shoulder gently. If truth dies in my mouth, what kind of man remains? She pressed her forehead to his chest. And what kind of widow will I become? He closed his eyes. The kind whose husband did not betray his soul. When he was led away, she did not scream. She watched, because dignity was the last gift she could give him. He was beheaded. The palace felt colder after that. Months later, the king summoned the Christian pages. The courtyard filled with chiefs. The air thickened. Mwanga's voice cut through it. All who pray, step forward. The world seemed to hold its breath. One step, then another. Charles Luanga stepped forward. Kizito followed. Mukasa Kiriwawanvu stepped forward. Aaron Lubega followed. Catholic, Anglican, side by side. Mwanga studied their faces. Do you understand that your prayer dishonors me? Charles answered quietly. We do not dishonor you, Kabaka. We honor God. The king's jaw tightened. You choose him over me? Charles did not hesitate. Yes. The sentence was death. News travels in villages like fire in dry grass. Kizito's mother ran barefoot to the palace enclosure. She found her son bound. He tried to smile when he saw her. Mama. She cupped his face with shaking hands. You are still a child, he whispered, steady as dawn. I am old enough to stand for truth. Her voice broke. Say you were confused. Say it was foolishness. He shook his head gently. If I lie now, I lose more than life. She pulled him into her arms and rocked him like when he was small. Who will fetch water for me? Who will call me mother? He answered softly. You will call me blessed. Guards pulled him away. Her wail followed him down the path like a torn cloth in the wind.
If these are the kinds of stories you love to watch and listen to, subscribe to Pearl Mystic Tales on YouTube and TikTok. We share real historical events told in a way that helps you see them, feel them, and understand them differently.
They were marched nearly 30 miles to Namugongo. Feet blistered, hands bound. Some sang hymns taught by Catholic missionaries from the White Fathers. Others recited psalms learned through the Church Missionary Society. The melodies wove together. A strange unity formed in suffering. Villagers whispered, "They walk like men going to a celebration. They walk like men who already see something we do not." That final night at Namugongo was heavy. The executioner, Mukajanga, prepared the reeds. The condemned were tied separately. Charles Luwanga leaned toward those near him. "Forgive them," he whispered. "Hold fast." Kizito's voice trembled once. "Brother Charles, will it hurt?" Charles answered honestly, "Yes, but it will pass." Silence fell. Then prayer. Low, steady. A wind moved through the grass. Some said later it felt like heaven bending close. June 3rd, 1886. The reeds were wrapped tightly around their bodies. Mukajanga approached. "Last chance," he said. "Recant." Aaron Lubega lifted his chin. "We cannot deny what we believe." Mukasa Kiri Wawanvu added quietly, "We forgive you." Forgiveness struck deeper than defiance. The torch touched dry reeds. Flame moved quickly. Smoke climbed skyward. Some cried out in pain. Some sang. Some whispered, "Jesus," until breath failed. Kizito's young voice rose through the smoke. "I am not afraid." The fire consumed their bodies, but it did not consume their faith. Not all families were present, but some had followed at a distance. A mother collapsed when the smoke thickened. A wife covered her face but did not turn away. One father stood rigid, tears carving lines through ash on his cheeks. He whispered, "My son has chosen a kingdom I cannot see." There are griefs so deep they become silent. Back in his palace, Kabaka Mwanga paced. "They are dead," a chief reported. Mwanga nodded. "Then the rebellion ends." But it did not end. People spoke more boldly afterward. They told the story of boys who forgave their executioner. They told the story of fire that did not conquer faith. Mwanga, powerful and feared, began to sense something slipping. "What kind of power grows stronger when burned?" he asked once. No one answered, because the answer frightened them. Years passed. Empires shifted. Mwanga himself would lose his throne and be exiled. But the ground at Namugongo remained sacred. In 1964, Pope Paul VI canonized the Catholic martyrs. Anglican churches honored their martyrs in remembrance. Today, every June 3rd, millions walk to Namugongo. Catholic and Anglican pilgrims kneel on the same soil. Different prayers, same fire. They were sons, brothers, husbands, pages in a palace. They did not raise weapons, they raised conviction. Kabaka Mwanga wielded authority. Mukajanga wielded flame. But the martyrs wielded something neither sword nor fire could destroy: faith. And when fire met faith, faith remained. The smoke rose into the sky, but the story settled into the soil of Uganda, and it has never left.